Devil fruits are the embodiment of people's dreams that grow on the treasure tree 𝚬𝚘 on 𝙬𝚘𝚡. In other words, devil fruits, the treasures of the sea, are part of the One Piece. At least that's gonna be my current answer to the question what devil fruits are and where they originally come from. Yes, there is still a lot we don't know about these magical fruits that give people incredible powers, but there also is quite a trail of breadcrumbs for us to follow throughout the story as well. The most basic observation I can make when I look at a devil fruit like the 𝚘𝚘𝚘 no Mi is that this is a plant. A pretty extraordinary plant that will turn my body into fire, yes, but nonetheless a plant. It's a bad tasting fruit with a stem that didn't just pop into existence, but that had to grow somewhere. I think the smile factory on Dressrosa, that is actually full of important clues, is a great example for this. Now, as you know, it seems like devil fruits can reincarnate in a suitable fruit close to where the previous user died, as we saw with Caesar's pet Smiley, and probably when Blackbeard took Whitebeard's fruit as well. But these two are people who know way more about how these fruits work than most. And don't forget that they must have come from somewhere in the first place. So there must be some original source for them. What's up? My name is Manu, and even though I really don't have a green thumb when it comes to keeping plants alive, why do I still believe that this should be a tree and not, I don't know, a devil fruit ranch where you grow all types of devil fruits in different ways? Well, first of all, in Romance Dawn, the one-shot that was the blueprint for One Piece, Luffy's fruit was explicitly stated to have grown on a tree, but also because trees are one of the most important symbols in One Piece, similar to how whales represent 𝚬𝚘𝚡, as I discussed in my last video. We have the Sun Tree Eve, the Treasure Tree 𝚬𝚘, the Tree of Knowledge on Ohara, the Whale Tree on 𝙬𝚘, and the sacred trees on both Shandora and in Wano that are believed to hold the souls of their ancestors. Now, what do you think do all these trees have in common? Yep. Trees in One Piece represent the Void Century and the Ancient Kingdom. Eve is connected to both Marijoa and Fishman Island, with Poseidon and Joy Boy's apology. Ohara was studying a poneglyph and the true history of the worlds. Both Shandora and Wano were closely connected to, or maybe even part of, the Ancient Kingdom itself. By the way, you also have the giant jack on Skypiea that holds the golden bell, as well as this weird giant tree on Wano that is the center of the capital. And we also have a number of trees that literally hold souls. This tree on Thriller Bark, as well as Kingbound and the entire forest on Whole Cake Island, again close to a road poneglyph. The whale tree on 𝙬𝚘 is even more special because it combines both symbols, the tree and the whale. In other words, 𝙬𝚘 is connected to the Ancient Kingdom and gives direction to 𝚬𝚘𝚡. And there is actually another really important tree in One Piece. This one right here. So what does Drum Island out of all places have to do with anything? Well, plants in One Piece are closely connected to one specific group of characters: doctors. And this goes for devil fruits as well. Chopper is seen using herbs to make medicine and drugs. The mushroom that poisoned Hiruluk, cherry blossoms, the herbs and medical knowledge in Torino Kingdom, Doc Q and his explosive apples, Crocus being named after the flower on his head, Law, who wouldn't be able to do any advanced surgery like cutting drugs out of the kids without eating his devil fruit, and Belladonna on Amazon Lily being named after the flower Atropa belladonna, which is a medical plant as well. Then there's also Noland, who cures the Shandorans with his chestnut head, and of course the master of them all, Dr. Vegapunk. And so Drum Island is a very important link here in many ways. For one, there's the image of the giant cherry blossom tree, yes, but Drum Island is especially famous for its doctors. Which got me wondering, why? Yes, Chopper and Kureha are great doctors, no question about it, but what makes this country stand out from other doctors like Law or the island that Chopper went to train on during the time skip? Well, at least on the surface, there are two real oddities on Drum Island that make it special from a medical perspective. Dr. Kureha's long lifespan, as well as Chopper's rumble balls. The rumble balls are especially interesting to me because they seem to unlock the hidden potential in Chopper's devil fruit. And did this young reindeer who was studying under a quack really come up with such an advanced technology all by himself? Or could there be some hidden knowledge on Drum Island about the real nature of devil fruits? I also don't think it's a coincidence that Blackbeard went there, because anything he does is planned out really neatly. Also, remember that Chopper himself is connected to trees as well. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why are there 3 big trees in the One Piece world that all have an obvious biblical theme? We have 2 trees called Adam and Eve, both of whom lived in paradise. In this garden called Eden, there were 2 special trees. The tree of life that grants immortality, as well as the forbidden tree of knowledge, just like the tree of knowledge on Ohara. And so Eve was tempted by a snake to eat an apple from the tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit for which her and Adam were made mortal and cast out of heaven. And this snake is often seen as the embodiment of the devil. And now it's of course pure coincidence that the people of Ohara were called devils by the world government for their research. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, we're talking about literal devil fruits here. Now, as you know, whenever Oda Sensei takes inspiration for his story, he never copies anything one-to-one, but gives things an interesting twist. The story of Adam and Eve in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam represents the original sin of humanity, being seduced by the devil and eating the forbidden fruit. In One Piece, on the other hand, the people of Ohara, like Robin, clearly are portrayed as good people interested in the truth and just painted as devils by the government. And so I think it's clear that in the world of One Piece, the government, in other words, Imu, the Gorosei, and the other celestial dragons represent God, only that here, God is the bad guy. The Tree of Knowledge on Ohara would then represent the sin, quote-unquote, of gaining the same knowledge as the government and how they came into power. As I've discussed in detail in this video here, there is a good chance that the life tree that grants immortality is the Sun Tree Eve that seems to be located inside the red line reaching up towards Merijoa. It might very well be this tree that gives literal immortality to the celestial dragons that live in quote-unquote paradise on top of the red line. By the way, as you know, Merijoa is located exactly where the red line crosses the Grand Line, dividing the world into 4 oceans. And even though I'm not very religious, I found there was this line from Genesis that reads, "A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters." Another very interesting reoccurring theme here that I completely overlooked at first is that of the forbidden fruit being an apple. The fruit of the devil being an apple. This pops up quite a lot throughout the story. You have Dog Q's apples, the Smile fruits all being apples, Smiley's devil fruit reincarnating into an apple, Enel the god eating an apple, and so on and so forth. There's definitely some sort of pattern here. So now the only aspect of the Garden Eden reference that has no clear role yet in the story is the treasure tree Adam. The story goes that God made Eve from a part of Adam, which would then suggest that the sun tree Eve was made from the treasure tree Adam as well. A connection that, by the way, Usopp also seems to make. Now, as Frankie explains to us, Once, long ago, an endless war raged on a certain island. People died and the island was destroyed by a rain of bullets and left in ruins. However, the people kept coming back to rebuild their nation near a giant tree, the only tree that remained intact, and that tree was Adam. Now, not only does that suspiciously sound like the ancient kingdom to me, but there is also the idea of rebirth, not unlike the devil fruits themselves. So could the treasure tree Adam be the original devil fruit tree that grows on 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚅? I think a big hint here is its name, the treasure tree. Treasure makes me think immediately of the One Piece. Not only that, but devil fruits are called the treasures of the sea. And when you really think about it, treasure and trees are a theme in the story as well.
調べによると、海賊相手に盗んだ宝をこのみかん畑に隠しているそうだな。
Nami's treasure is buried under 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛 tangerine trees. The library on Ohara is under the tree as well. The road poneglyph is under the whale tree. You get my point. Also, as I've discussed in these videos, I believe that 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢 was the left eye of Jaya that was then swallowed by a giant whale and is now at the bottom of the sea. The other city on Jaya, 𝚲𝚙𝚅, also had this giant sapling growing, at least until the Straw Hats cut it down. And if 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢 was at the bottom of the sea, that would explain why it's called the treasure of the sea and the fruits of the devil. After all, the ancient kingdom would have been the devil to the gods of the world government, just like the people of Ohara. And so these fruits now could float to the surface and then spread throughout the world. Now, at the beginning of all this, I mentioned that devil fruits are literally the incarnations of people's dreams. So what do I mean by that? Well, this idea is part of 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚅𝚛 mega theory about One Piece that, once again, keeps blowing my mind every time I hear something new about it. The basis for this idea are Roger's last words.
時代のうねり、人の夢。人々が自由の答えを求める限り、それらは決してとどまることはない。
You have inherited will, that is first introduced by Dr. Kureha back on Drum Island. Callback. I already talked about the possibility that devil fruits might actually inherit part of the previous user's will to whoever eats it. We have people's dreams and the passing of the ages. That means that people's dreams are inherited throughout the ages and never die. This idea is confirmed by none other than Blackbeard himself, who is not only an absolute devil fruit nerd, but also seems to be the only person who knows how to consume multiple fruits.
人の夢は終わらねえ!
This man's most important statement is that people's dreams never end. I think hockey plays a role here as well, because we know that people can manifest their wills into reality in this world. We also know that souls are not only real in One Piece, but that they are said to enter trees in the cultures of Wano and 𝚲𝚙𝚅𝚛 that are both closely connected to the ancient kingdom. Chapter 225, titled People's Dreams, where Blackbeard makes his famous speech, has Hachi on the cover page dreaming under a tree of making takoyaki on a deserted island, like the deserted island 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚅𝚛. And in general, I don't think I have to tell you that dreams is one of the most fundamental concepts in the entire story. And so all the big trees in One Piece are collecting something. The Tree of Knowledge on Ohara collects wisdom, the Sun Tree Eve collects the sunlight, the trees on 𝚲𝚙𝚅𝚛 collect souls, and so I believe that the treasure tree Adam collects people's dreams. The dream to be a bird, the dream to be fire itself, or the dream to turn everything into a toy. All these abilities are just so fantastical and things that can only come from people's imagination. And Oda Sensei might have made this a quite literal part of his story. This would also explain why there are only 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛 devil fruits. Yes, you can take the lineage factor from an animal and try to merge it with a human, but you can't make an artificial Logia or Paramecia fruit. Now, this possibility absolutely blew my mind, but it gets so much crazier when you look at the big picture. The idea that 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚅𝚛 and the devil fruit tree are at the bottom of the sea is part of a much larger theory that puzzles together the biggest mysteries of the series. And that's why you really shouldn't ignore this video, because it'll make you question everything you thought you knew about One Piece.